Chapter 2.6, Addition and Subtraction with Other Bases. So last time we had a chance to look at adding in base 2. Now let's look at adding in base 5. Let's do this one more time and see if that helps us a little, make it a little bit better and easier. Now, again, since this is base 5, so we're looking for whenever your number add you cannot have 5. So the most you can have in any single placement is a 4. But the minute you get a 5, they become a 0 and a 1. Just like in our system, whenever 9 is the biggest number you can have, the minute you become 10 or more, then the number you have to carry over. So let's look up 241 plus 32. So 1 plus 2 is 3. That's okay. That's less than 5. Then the next number is 4 plus 3. But 4 plus 3 is 12. Now, if you think about 12, 12 is in base 5, 12 is equal to what? So, okay, so think of what we did before. How do you convert 12 into 12.5 into our number? Well, 12.5. Okay, so it's not 12.5. It's I think it was 7. 7 is like 12.5s. Okay, so how does it work? Because if you take 7, we have 4 plus 3 is 7. Now 7 divided by 5. Remember how we convert? Okay, so divide by 5, you get 1. You're left with a 2. Then you take a 2 divided by 1. So the quotient, the numbers on top where I circled, is 1, 2, which is 12. So that 4 plus 3, instead of saying equal to 7, it's because 7 is 12 in 5s. So become 2 and a 1, where I put red number represent the 12. Then last but not least, 1 plus 2 is 3. So 241 plus 32 5s is 323 5. Let's move on to the second one, part B. Okay, same thing here. Okay, once again, we already have a problem with the first addition here, 2 plus 4, that's 6. Well, we're not going to write 6 because we have to convert 6 into 5s. Now, 6 is our number, so 6 equal to what? 11 5s. That's why I have a 1 in the very last placement here, the 1's placement, and I carry 1 over. Now, I have a 1 plus 2 plus 3. Now, 1 plus 2 plus 3 is 6 again. Now it's 6 again, so it becomes 11. One more time. That's why 2 plus 3 here, I have a 1 and carry 1. Now, the next placement, the third placement here, I have a 1 plus 0 plus 4, which give me a 5. Now, 5 is equal to 10 in 5s. So that's what 0 and 1 and a 0. Last but not least, I got a 5 again. That's why I have the last two number 10. So the answer is 10,011 5s. Now, how would you be doing subtraction? Well, same thing as before. We're going to borrow. But instead of every time you borrow a number, we get 10 more in our system. If it's in 2s, like in this first example, every time you borrow something, you get 2 more. Okay, because every 1 is represent 2. Instead of 10, so every placement. So if you look, okay, so we have 110 minus 11. Now we notice that 0 cannot minus 1 because it's not enough. So we go ahead borrow the 1 from the second digit. Okay, now the 1 becomes a 0, but when you borrow the 1, it becomes a 2. So now we have 2 minus 1 equal to 1, 2 minus 1 equal to 1, and of course, how we get this the second 2 here is the same thing. Since we didn't have anything now, we borrowed that 1 to use to subtract this the first digit to the very right. So now you have a 0, just like the other digit. So we have to borrow from the furthest number, the third. We call the 100th place, but in the 2 system will be 2 to the third power will be the 8th place. So we borrowed that 1 from the 8th place, then it becomes 0. We got a 2 more. That's why the number is 11. Just remember, in base 2, every 1 you borrow is a 2. Okay, look at part B. Same thing. Let's do this one more time with base 2. So once again, start from the very right-hand side, 0 cannot minus 1, so we borrow the 1 next door. Now, when we borrow that 1 becomes a 0, then we have a 2. So 2 minus 1 is 1. Now, if we have a 0 minus 0, we're okay there, and 1 minus 1, we're okay there. Now, once we go to the very this next placement here, 0 minus 1, we do the same thing. We can use 0. 0 cannot minus 1, so we will borrow 1 from the most left placement. Okay, that 1 becomes a 0. Then when you borrow that 1, you become a 2 now. Instead of 0, you have a 2. So 2 minus 1 is 1. So you end up with 1001. Now, if you want to do something with the 5 system, it's the same. Just remember, every 1 is a 5. Every 1 you borrow is a 5. Okay, so again, 1 cannot minus 2. Okay, on the very right hand side. But when you borrow that 4 become a 3, that 1 become a 6 because now 1 plus 5 more because we're in base 5. Every number you borrowed, it give you 5 more. So 6 minus 2 is 4, while 3 minus 3 is 0 and a 2. Let's look at part B. Okay, we have the same thing on the very right hand side. 2 minus 4, you can subtract that. So we borrow the 2 to its next placement. Once we borrow a 2, that become a 1. Now the 2 that we had before on the very right hand side, now 2 plus 5, you get a 7 now. So 7 can definitely minus 4, so you get a 3. Now, if you look at the second placement, where now it's not a 2, remember we borrowed it, so it'll only be a 1. 1 cannot minus 3, so you have to borrow from the 0 before. But you can borrow from the 0, so you have to borrow all the way to the 4. So when you borrow the 4, you get a 3, and then when you borrow the 4, you get a 5. Remember, every time you borrow 1, you get a 5. So, but remember, we still need that 1. The 1 minus 3, it's not enough. So that 5 become a 4. We borrow one more time. We borrow two placement over. So now we finally have a 6. So 6 minus 3 is 3. 4 minus 4 is 0, and you end up with 3 in the very front.